There we are. Hi, everyone. Let me get my settings right. Okay, there we go. That is better. Okay, how are y'all today? Hopefully, everyone is well, staying warm. Well, at least here where I am, it is pretty cool. I think the last time I checked, it was like 36 degrees, which is cool. Anyone who often feels below that, I'm so sorry to hear that. I will make sure I send you some good warm energy, right? Because it's cold. And I'm not built for this. Anyways, though, then again, I'm also not built for 120-degree weather like they had in Phoenix. So there's that. Gotta find a happy medium. Okay. Without further ado, what I wanted to talk to you all about today on this self-care Saturday, which I'm excited for. If you all haven't been a part of this, I am Dr. Charisma, Coach Charisma. Doesn't matter. People call me a variety of things. Coach C. So call me what you want. But with that being said, what I am doing with this particular series, I'll say, is that I am using Disney's Encanto. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you go watch it. But I'm using Disney's Encanto and the characters to break down different things that happen that add to our stress. So last week, I believe, who did I talk about? Louisa, who is the strong family member. This week, today, I'm going to be talking about Isabella, who is the sort of perfectionist in the family Madrigal. So, what I wanted to talk about with that, hopefully, that's weird. I have a little, hold on, y'all. Let me double check this. I think my internet might be moving slowly, but so what I wanted to talk about today during this self-care Saturday is perfectionism. And what I'm going to start off with is some signs that you might be a perfectionist. So this obviously is not an all-encompassing list. There's a bunch of different things, and some of these some of these might not, like, they might be things that you do, but it doesn't mean that you fall into this category, right? So if you tend to feel dissatisfied whenever you've achieved something, you're just like, no, it's not enough, it's not good enough, there's all these flaws, etc., etc. You find anything wrong with it. When you make small mistakes, they seem like huge failures. So what's that saying? You make a mountain out of a molehill. So it might be something really tiny, but you feel like it's huge, maybe like end of the world huge. When you receive like constructive criticism, it might make you feel hurt, not helpful for you. Which honestly, sometimes constructive criticism is meant to hurt you, not harm you. Hopefully, though, there's a difference between constructive criticism and just criticism itself, right? So there's a difference. You'll know it if you are paying attention and you have been working for a while. Plus, you can always ask for feedback. You're weighed down by a fear of not being good enough. Y'all, I am so sorry. I don't know what this thing is doing. What is going on with my internet? Oh, well, it's connected. Okay, let me see what this is doing. I think I might need to change my settings. Play around with it for a moment and see if I can change this up a little. I don't know. Now it went away. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Apologies. I don't know what's happening right now. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's because it's a Saturday. I don't know. Anyways, though, I'll keep going, and hopefully this will resonate across the board and isn't going to be a problem with the live itself. So I said you're weighed down by fear of not being good enough. You find it difficult to be proud of yourself and your accomplishments because you can't help but see the flaws. So this goes hand in hand with like the small mistakes, being dissatisfied. It all kind of makes sense when you think about it, right? So rather than feeling motivated and excited by goals, you tend to be pushed towards them by your fear of failure. So instead of being like, I really want to do this, I'm passionate about it, you're more scared to fail. And that is a big difference, because when you're scared to fail and you're pushing yourself off of fear rather than passion. I don't know what that is. If you fall short, you find it hard to enjoy yourself, and because you're usually focused on the outcome, not the journey. So you find it like hard to enjoy life, pretty much. Let's see, when things don't go as planned. So one little thing gets off, you're 15 minutes late for something, but not like an event where you have to be on time, right? You ruminate over what you could have done differently and maybe beat yourself up. Sometimes you avoid taking action at all because you're afraid of failing. So that's where that procrastination piece comes in. And so a lot of those things contribute to probably feeling anxious or upset or mad or sad about whatever's going on, feeling like you're not good enough. There's a lot of factors that go into how perfectionism plays out, right? It looks different for everyone, so I can't give you a generic idea, but more than likely you're going to be frustrated, upset, angry with yourself a lot of the times, and that's not a way to live life. So, with specifically, if we're talking about Encanto, spoiler alert, this is where the spoilers come in just a little bit. So, if you haven't seen it, like I said, go back and watch that film. It's on Disney Plus, and I know we all borrow each other's passwords. Yes, I do it too. Hopefully, they won't see this. Anyways, and if they do, I pay for it. So there's that. So Isabella Madrigal is the sister to our main character Mirabella, and she is like this seemingly flawless character, right? And honestly, she's pretty obnoxious. Her sister even said at one point in the movie, like, she's never even had a bad hair day. Has anyone ever experienced someone like this, where they are just like this perfect being, right? In your mind, they have no flaws. They are just like, they have it all together. So I'll be honest when I say this. Yes, there are people who might come close to perfect, but I can bet they are not perfect. And if they are, it's probably either a projection of, something that you're thinking. That they probably aren't going to meet, which means they're probably struggling with stuff, which then means they're not perfect, right? Or someone is putting that expectation on to them that they're a perfect being. Like I said, sometimes it's just our perception of people that make them seem like flawless beings. But I bet you every single human that you've met is flawed in some way. I don't care if it's a crooked toenail, that's still a flaw, which isn't bad. Like, I accept flaws and all, but my point is there's no one that's perfect. So with that, what we learned throughout the movie is her perfection is actually practiced, and it's intended to please their abuela. And honestly, she can't even meet that almost impossible standard of perfection. It's kind of undefined. Like, there's a scene in the movie where her abuela, she makes flowers. Her magic is flowers. And she has like pink flowers, I believe it's in her hair, and one white flower pops up. Well, her abuela takes it and picks it out of her hair. Like, it's just one white flower. So there's that impossible standard of perfection that she has to meet. So she feels all these pressures. So as we also go on with the movie, interestingly enough, we find out that Isabella is actually jealous of Mirabelle because she doesn't have all of these expectations. But then, we know Mirabelle is jealous of Isabelle, excuse me, because she gives this persona of perfection. So that brings me to the topic today about perfectionism and how that can lead to or contribute to increased feelings of anxiety, dissatisfaction, and difficulty coping. Because, like I said before, perfectionism is typically motivated by fear of how others perceive you, and sometimes it's self blame, right? Like you probably can't achieve the standard you or someone else has set out for you. There's a beautiful saying by Brene Brown. I want to double check and make sure I'm saying it right. So she said, when perfectionism is driving us, shame is riding shotgun, and fear is that annoying backseat driver. I love that because it encompasses exactly what I'm saying. Um, so, yeah, procrastination typically creates fear and strengthen those already negative thoughts that we might have about ourselves or that someone might be having. It doesn't allow you to make errors or mistakes, and it can be downright exhausting. Have you ever met someone who maybe it's all you've ever known? No one's blaming you for that. But sometimes we have these expectations either placed on us, or these expectations that are just internally there from family that has been passed down from for generations, and we don't know how to change that. But it can cause a significant amount of stress at work and in your own life, and we don't want that. That's the whole point of Self-Care Saturday. So let me give you just a quick story. Obviously, I was younger at the time. I graduated out of school, probably going to go back and do something else because I'm like a freaking lifelong learner. Anyways, though, when I was in probably elementary, middle school, I was in a program here in the South. They call it Ideas, or like a gifted program. And there was all these expectations. They were unspoken, but you had to have certain grades to even be able to go to this very specific little program off the campus. It's like a special group, made you feel great. But then the more you did it, it was like people were really competitive with one another, and it just was this breeding ground for like anxiety and perfectionism. And I don't think people realize, yes, the program is, I don't think that's its intent. That's not what it was set out to do, but that's what it did, is created this really ugly, vicious cycle of I have to be the best, I have to do the best, I have to present the best because people are going to judge me if I don't. Yeah. So, yes, I have definitely dealt with perfectionism, but I have learned as I've gotten older to just let that go. I cannot be this person all the time. I tell people, I'm like, you know what? If I had one class where I was like, I know I'm not gonna make my usual A or B in this class. It's gonna be a C, and that's gonna be good enough. And when I let go of that, I have to make this grade in this course. It was so much easier. I actually think I ended up making a really low B because I wasn't so hard on myself. But yeah, so living in this cycle of stress with no relief might allow a sense of like helplessness or hopelessness and despair to take root. It's like never ending stress, and it can sap your motivation and make it seem like there's no point in trying. And so then you're in this cycle of like, I can't get out, I can't do any better. Still build up all of that, all kinds of frustrations. So what I wanted to do was just really quickly, because again, I know I didn't want to make this super long, and I had some glitches earlier, but I wanted to talk about how to overcome perfectionism just really quickly. So the first thing is recognizing perfectionism. That's why I gave you some of those signs about what it might look like to be a perfectionist, or what that comes across as, how that might present. So if you checked off multiple of those boxes and you do that in multiple settings, that might be a sign for you. Show yourself compassion and self-compassion. I think that's a really important thing. And so what I wanted to do before I move on to the other steps is hopefully quickly lead you through a meditative practice about self-care and self-compassion. Like I said, I keep getting this little weird thing that says something about my speed, so hopefully this will work. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lead you through a practice. I am going to go ahead and tell you all, if you hear dogs or anything in the background, yes, I have several dogs. So we'll just, it's part of the practice, part of the mindfulness. If they bark, my apologies. If they get a little too crazy, I'll just take a step back, remove them, and we'll go from there. But so I'm going to give you a meditation about, like I said, compassion for failures and mistakes. So this guided meditation is a variant on the classic loving kindness practice. If you've ever done any meditation, loving kindness is sending loving kindness or energy to yourself, to people that you like, maybe to people that you just feel okay about, basically like that. But this one's tailored specifically to cultivate self-compassion. So the first thing I want you to do is make sure you're in a comfortable position. You could be sitting either on a meditation cushion or on a chair, but something very comfortable where you can sit upright but still be relaxed. And so then I want you to settle into your posture. As you do that, I want you to notice how your body feels. The sensation of your feet touching the floor, your bottom touching the cushion, the weight of your arms and your head. I want you to be in your body right here, right now, fully inhabiting your lived experience. Now allow your attention to move outward to sounds. What sounds are arising right now? Are there noises outside your window or door? A fan blowing, leaves rustling. What sounds do you hear? I want you to try not to reach out to the sounds, but just let the sounds arrive, the sound waves entering your mind and body. Now focus on your breathing, the sense of inhaling and exhaling. Whether you feel the breath mostly strong at your nostrils, or perhaps that your chest rises and falls, we'll take a few moments just to rest with our breath, simple and easy. Now I want you to notice the peacefulness of being quiet, of resting, as you just gently continue to breathe. And now I'd like you to bring to mind some aspect of your personality, or perhaps a mistake you made, a failure that's been bothering you lately. Something that perhaps you've been criticizing yourself for, or that has made you feel inadequate in some way. Whatever this trait or action is, try to get in touch with what you're feeling about it. What does it make you feel? Is it sad? Is it frightened? Isolated? Inadequate? How have you felt when you've thought about this inadequacy? Now I want you to see if you can locate the sensations of that emotion in your body. Perhaps it's a tightness in your throat, or a heaviness in your heart, or tension in your shoulders. What emotions do you feel when you think about this mistake or inadequacy? And where are those emotions felt in the body? So I just want you to actually allow them to be there, instead of resisting feeling these natural feelings that arise when we judge ourselves. Just notice them. What am I feeling? Where are the emotions in my body? Get in touch with how much suffering is caused by our self-judgment, our fears of not being good enough. Some of our greatest suffering is caused at our own hands by the belief that somehow we should be perfect. Now I want you to take your hand, or both hands if you prefer, and place it gently over your heart in a calm, soft, comforting manner. You might even want to rub a little soothing, reassuring circle. See if you can sense your heart right now. See if you can let your heart be moved by how difficult your emotional experience is when you think about this thing that makes you feel bad about yourself. And so what we'll do now is repeat some loving kindness phrases designed to help you feel compassion for the fact that you are an imperfect being. You try your best, but no one on this planet is perfect. We're all inadequate in some way. We all make mistakes. We all fail. This is the human experience. It's okay. So repeat the phrases silently. I'll say a few sets of phrases aloud, and then you can repeat them to yourself. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself as I am. Feel the warmth of your hand on your heart. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself as I am. Repeat these phrases silently, really trying to get in touch with the intention behind the words. The intention to offer yourself kindness, compassion, acceptance. As your mind wanders, which it will inevitably do, happens to me all the time, just refresh the phrases in your mind. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself as I am. Giving yourself the same kindness and support and acceptance you would give a good friend who was feeling bad about themselves. Remembering that everyone is in the same boat. Everyone feels inadequate in some way. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone fails. This is the human condition. This is normal. This is something we all share. It's okay. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself as I am. And remembering all your fellow humans who struggle with self-judgment the way you do, the way we do. So we're going to change the phrases slightly so that we include everyone in our intention for self-compassion. May we all be safe. May we all be peaceful. May we all be kind to ourselves. May we accept ourselves as we are. Just gently repeating the phrases silently. Now, I'd like you to think of something that's been causing you suffering that you don't necessarily blame yourself for. Maybe you have a loved one who is sick, or something's going wrong in your life just due to external circumstances. Give yourself compassion for this source of suffering. Your source of suffering comes from two main sources. From ourselves not being as we want, or from our lives not being as we want. So thinking of this aspect of your life that's causing you pain, repeat the following phrases. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be kind to myself. May I accept my life as it is. This is the way things are. Repeating the phrases silently to yourself, soothing and comforting yourself with the difficulties of living the human life. That's my dog, y'all. I told you they would make an appearance. Really feel your care and concern, tenderness for yourself, struggling like so many others. Now again, put your hand on your heart, or if it's been there the whole time, really feel your hand on your heart. And while you've been focusing on comforting ourselves, we've been focusing on comforting ourselves for painful feelings, for suffering. Now see if you can feel what the compassion itself feels like. Maybe your heart is tingling or feels warm, feels vibrant in some way. Notice the good qualities of an open heart that is filled with compassion, the beautiful feelings of tenderness, care, concern, kindness. Noticing the joy of compassion, of connectedness, of open-heartedness. This is also a part of the human experience. And thank yourself for being a good, supportive friend. May we all be well and safe, happy and free. Namaste. All right, so I know that was quite an extensive practice, but that's something that can be really helpful. There are a ton of self-compassion meditations out there, yoga, all kinds of things that can be beneficial. So that was my part about showing yourself compassion. That was a meditation for that in case you joined in later. Another thing you can do is reframe your perfectionistic thoughts. So like, rather than I'm not good enough, or this has to be perfect, you can literally say, this is good enough. I'm a good enough daughter, a good enough wife, a good enough husband, a good enough child, a good enough mother. Good enough is literally enough. Doesn't require you to be perfect. You have to change those perfectionistic behaviors by practicing imperfection. Literally, what just happened with me, I got tongue-tied. I would love for that to have come out perfectly, but it was meant to be exactly the way that it came out. But yeah, practice imperfection. Be okay with not getting, your makeup perfectly done. Be okay without getting that project 100% completed to perfection, like you did 98%. Be okay with letting people have flaws and not judging them, including yourself. Because what would you tell a friend if they came to you were struggling with imperfection? Girl, boy, it's okay, right? And then my final tip is going to be, of course, reward yourself. Rewards are really helpful when we're talking about self-care. Obviously, we don't want our motivation to be extrinsic. We don't want just external motivation, like every time I do this I get to go buy something new, but sometimes it can be helpful, right? Like I go to the gym. If I go to the gym consistently for a month, I reward myself with a new clothing item that I really feel excited about. And then I get excited about the clothing and then I want to do it some more. So that's just a little minor example of how you can reward yourself. It doesn't have to be an everyday thing. If you want to, though, go for it. Gets a little expensive when we're talking about material items, but if you reward yourself with a pat on the back and that works, that's beautiful too. So those are, well, this wasn't as short as I wanted it to be, which is okay because I think the meditation was perfect. But I want you all to remember that we are not perfect beings. And if you are struggling with perfection or being imperfect, right? That's what we want to talk about. If you're struggling with being an imperfect person because you have all of these ideas about like I have to be perfect, then you definitely can come to us here at Rooted Ambition. We will help you figure out what that life looks like without having those perfectionistic tendencies, because that can be a real struggle for us and not everyone naturally knows how to do that. So I gave you some tips, but it's not necessarily as easy as me speaking those to you. Those are just some ideas, but here our coaches can help you figure out what those look like and implement those tips. Here we grow. Happy Saturday, y'all. I hope someone found that helpful. I can't wait to join you again next Saturday. Bye.